Welcome to Unravel, the Raveled Marriage and Family Therapy. My name's Wade, and if you're watching this video, you've either found it on my website and you're just kind of checking things out, or you might even be one of my clients and I have referred you to this video to at least explore some options. This is my top 10 I'm going to say generally healthy things to consider. And I compiled this list because in the course of years that I've been offering therapy to folks, there are certain touch points that I feel like I constantly come back to or am reminding customers to engage in. This is not a empirical list. It is simply a list of generally helpful things that I have found. I'm going to say I've roughly ordered them in the order that I think they might be most important to least important, but that's going to vary from person to person. And I would argue at various points in my life, I'm doing these things or not doing these things, just depending on the stage of life I'm in. So I'll try to incorporate an example or two here and there as I go, just in case that's needed. And you're welcome to ask questions in the comments. I will happily reflect on anything I can. So let's jump in. And if you're not doing any of these things, then maybe try a few. And if I have referred you to this video, then I would encourage you to pick the ones you think are most relevant to you. All right, number one, journal. I probably recommend this more than any other homework assignment that I give, and for a good reason. Anytime I'm in a rough point of life, I find that journaling is highly cathartic and will often give me a combination of quiet time and meditation while being able to reflect on what I'm thinking and feeling and going through. I think sometimes folks get stuck because they think, well, I'm not sure what I'm feeling. And I would always encourage just write what you experienced that day. That is part of the processing, is just writing about your experience. Doesn't have to be in a journal. I tell people you can use a notepad. Record your thoughts on a phone like a soundbite. Maybe I use 3x5 cards. I don't necessarily journal with those, but I write lots of things down on them that I'm thinking about or processing or kind of working on. Like this 3x5 card here has my top 10 list. So I just kind of write those things out. Sometimes I'll get started on one and I'm like, I don't like it, or I didn't like my handwriting or something. I scratch it and I start another one and redo it. So any of that's helpful. I generally recommend 10 to 15 minutes daily for 1 week, and then reread or listen to what you've recorded or written, then repeat, preferably if you have a friend or some trusted individual in your life that you can talk to, then include that in a cycle somewhere, like having coffee with somebody to talk through some things. I've got a couple of guys in my life that I share thoughts and ideas with, and we'll have coffee, we'll play board games together and kind of talk about things. If you're bottling it up, you're not writing it out, you're not talking to anybody, a lot of times that stuff just gets stuck inside of you and doesn't usually lead to processing it in a way where it functionally helps you move forward in life. So journaling is my number one. Number two, sleep hygiene. This is often a component I will assess with folks if they're wrestling with anxiety, depression, really any number of things. How's your sleep hygiene? Well, I'm only getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep at night, and I've been doing that for years. Well, for most individuals, now there's a rare individual who can do just fine on 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night. Very, very rare that people can do that and be healthy. Most people require 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. That is just the general scientific average, I believe. If you're not getting that, you're getting significantly less that on a very regular basis, that's going to affect you in a lot of ways. Weight, health, attitude, mood, ability to relate to others, any number of things. If you can get your sleep hygiene under control, I usually say that's a good baseline. Like at least get that under control, and then then let's continue some conversations, because we could talk to the nth degree about different things you can do, but if that piece is not under control, this basic human need you have to sleep at night for your brain to rest and then kind of your brain is healing and processing at night when you are asleep. And if it's not able to do that, then you're just missing a huge component of just the human need of sleep. So there are a lot of ways to address sleep hygiene. I would probably say just Google sleep hygiene, look it up, and then look at what you're doing that could be improved from that standpoint. Maybe talk to a doctor. Like if you really need to do a sleep study or something, sometimes people need to do something extensive like that. Talk to a doctor if that's the case. But definitely get that figured out. Number 3, hobbies. It's kind of several things. Hobbies, unwind, party, relax. I kind of group all these things together because they're all important. We all need some unwind time. If you are constantly on the go, work, get some sleep, do, chore, work, chore, sleep, and you're never unwinding, you're never releasing from the grind. That creates its own level of challenges in relationships and personally. What is it that helps you unwind? Do you need to go play golf or play disc golf or go bowling or go to a movie, play a video game? There could be any number of good hobby activities that would be highly beneficial. And if you don't know what those are, if you don't not sure what your interests are, I would say make a hobby of exploring some of those things, figuring out what that is. What do you like to do? That kind of leads into this next one, which I'm calling exercise, is my number 4. But you could even avoid the term exercise, because sometimes people think exercise and it means, well, I have to be lifting weights or running a marathon or doing something really exertion based. I would say move. Just move. If the best you can do is go for a 30-minute walk in the morning before you get your day started, or go for a 30-minute walk in the evening after you've kind of wrapped up your day before you go into evening activities, do that. Do something that gets you to move, especially if you had a fairly sedentary job where you sit all day. For the last 11 years, I had a raising and lowering desk, and most of the time I stood at that desk. I rarely sat, only once in a while. The thing is, you just got to get your body to move, or it becomes more tenuous the older you get. So exercise, move, do something. Number 5, set goals and make them smart. In simple terms, SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant to what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and time bound. Now, goals are different for different folks. I've had folks come in that have lots of goals. In some cases, too many. So for some people, you need to make those goals smaller. Sometimes their goals are so big, to some degree, they're not really attainable because they have such large, lofty goals, and then they're feeling depressed because they've got these outrageously difficult goals that maybe they've been told by parents, oh, those aren't very good goals, or they're not enough, but they're, for the average human being, just not attainable. And or if they are attainable, they still need to be broken down into smaller, measurable, more manageable goals. So set goals, dream big, but set reasonable goals. Number 6, listen. There's a whole lot packed in here, and honestly, if this is the place you struggle, you're probably going to need to talk to somebody one way or another, either a friend, somebody you trust, a therapist. You're probably gonna, if you're really struggling to listen, but you can stop scrolling, listen to your body, pay attention to what your body is telling you. Something hurts, don't ignore those things. Pay attention to those things. Listen to your partner. What are they trying to tell you? If you've spent a lot of years defending yourself, you probably haven't taken time to really hear what that attack is really about. And maybe it's not even an attack. Maybe it's a request. It just, you're taking it as an attack because it's defensive. But hearing what this partner is trying to ask, and then trying to figure out, why can't I hear this? Like, if you can't understand what they're trying to say, it might be because you're not even taking the time to take a step back and listen and assess what it is that they're missing, and then trying to meet them halfway. But listen is the biggest one. This is usually with couples and things, like they're just not listening to their partner, and maybe for years their partner's trying to tell them something, and they may not be telling them in the best way. They may not know how. But if one person is not even listening at all, it doesn't matter how they're trying to tell. Because I've worked with couples where someone is very clearly and succinctly and very kindly saying exactly what they want, and the person won't hear it. They're just not listening. And in some cases, they may not care. Now, hopefully you're not watching this video and not caring, but that's a relevant part of it. You do actually have to care if you're going to listen to actually do anything about that. Number 7, help yourself first. You can try to help your partner till you're blue in the face. But if there are all these things that you're just not willing to talk about, if there are these things that are kind of not working for you, that you're difficult in some way, that you hoard things, or you have some OCD tendencies, or that there's some pieces of you that are really challenging, help yourself first. Address the trauma, address the issues you don't want to talk about from your childhood. Get those things taken care of so that at least you can be a healthier partner. And then it might be easier to kind of assess, what do I want from my partner? But if you're wrestling with a ton of issues and you're frustrated because your partner seems agitated and anxious and whatever, but you're not willing to get help for yourself, you're not allowing very good space for healing to happen in your household, if that is the case. Or your friend group, even if it's not with people you live with, maybe just people you associate with, or coworkers. Get help for yourself, and then figure out how you can assist others if that's what you're thinking. Most of the time, you're getting help for yourself is just going to change you enough that you're automatically going to notice positives in other people that you might not have seen before. So help yourself first. Number 8, get a systemic medical checkup. Now, this might be easier said than done. I'm not a doctor, but I'm often telling people, get a medical checkup. If you're wrestling with, I don't know, what you think is ADHD, or you might be wrestling with depression, but you have a hyperthyroid or a hypothyroid, and you haven't had a medical checkup in 3 to 5 years, go to the doctor, get your blood work done, and find out, oh, your thyroid's it's barely operating. That's probably why you've been depressed. You might need some medication for your body to function the way it's supposed to function. I say systemic medical checkup, which might come off as an oxymoron to some, but get several opinions, and don't be afraid to do your own research. Be aware that not everybody's biology is not the same. So what works for one person, even in a medical setting, doesn't always work for everybody else. It varies. But maybe try different doctors. If you know that something is not quite right, get a second opinion. If something doesn't feel right about the first opinion, trust your gut. Go get a second opinion. Maybe even get a third opinion. I realize it's a lot of time, it's a lot of energy, but at the end of the day, you have something that doesn't seem right, or even like behavioral things that just kind of seem to come out of the blue. I know one time I worked with somebody who was had a child who was suicidal. Um, have they always been depressed, suicidal? No, it started about 6 months ago. It just kind of came out of the blue. All right. Did they start birth control 6 months ago? Yeah, they started birth control. Did you ask your doctor about that? No. Okay, go ask the doctor about that. That I will tell people, because I can't assess those things. I can kind of know from experience that it could be this, or this, but I have to advise they go to the doctor because I am not a doctor. So if you have that checkup, and then you've got the data to come and then have a conversation with your therapist. The therapist is not going to be able to help you with the data unless they are also a doctor, but they can at least incorporate that into, okay, how does this influence the behavioral experiences you're having possibly? Number 9, have a physical social system. Now, this is a little bit more dynamic than it might have been 30 years ago. I think it's ideal to have people in your life, friends, family, church, whatever it might be, these are physical people that I interact with. I think that's helpful. It means these are people you engage with, you have coffee with, you do some life with, even if it's just an event once a week. You're able to have conversations, and you just get some communal feedback. Whether you're introverted, extroverted, or omniverted, you're going to need a little bit of that. I say it's dynamic because I would call, let's say you have a group of friends that you've associated with for years, and they live all across the country, and how you get together is you get online and you play a video game, 3-4 hours every weekend. That is, I would call that a physical social system. You guys are all physically in some area and often probably communicating through a mic or something, but you're having dialogue as you engage around something. Go to, a board game club in your area. Go to social events that might be hosted in your area. Get together with people. Number 10 was the hardest to come up with. And it kind of floated around a couple of different things. But I recall, she probably still has it. My wife is a teacher. And when I first met her, one of my favorite signs that she had in her classroom was a sign that just said, think. And I just thought that was really cool. It's like, that's just a good reminder. 25, 30 years ago, I thought, well, we're on a classroom. Of course you're going to think. I feel like it's more relevant today to encourage people to think. Don't fall for groupthink if you can avoid it, whether that is your family all espousing the same view, and so you just espouse that same view because they do, or some group that you're buddy with. And it's not that, though, you can't be in the group or in the family or anything. I would just say just think about how your circumstances are influenced by the things around you, by your history, by the culture you were raised in and that you currently live in. I would just encourage thinking in general, doing some research, doing some reading, listening to some podcasts. Most relationships take work. They take time, they take energy, they take grace, they take consideration, love, care, forgiveness. And I think it requires some level of thinking to get through those things and be compassionate to someone you care about. Because people we're close to are often going to do things that sometimes rub us the wrong way or hurt us. And if you're just reacting to everything, then you're not thinking through, how can I get through this with my partner and still be holding their hand at the end and still be able to have a conversation. But think it through. And that is my top 10. Again, if you have questions, feel free to write them in the comments. If they come across the channel and they're just kind of looking for a place to start with ideas, here's about 30 minutes of something to start with, to work on between sessions, or to just kind of play around with. If you're kind of in that pre-contemplative, I might go see a therapist, but I'm not sure. This bald white guy looks kind of like maybe interesting. Just watch this video, play around with some of these things, see if they're helpful to you. Thanks, and have a great day.